This video is not sponsored. Just a disclaimer before the video starts, this video was written on February 11th, 2021 and recorded on February 22nd, 2021. If I am referencing Starlink, I will try my best to state if I am referring to the current better than nothing beta, what it was in the past, or will be in the future. With that out of the way, let's hop into the video. Welcome everybody, today I'm going to be recording a mini documentary of Starlink. I will try to cover general background information about SpaceX and competing satellite internet providers, early beginnings of the company, the better than nothing beta, and its future goals. I won't deep dive into its technology, however, I will dive into some certain aspects that I find important. If you click this video, odds are you know what Starlink is, but for those who don't, I'll quickly catch you up to speed. Starlink is a satellite internet constellation that is made and run by SpaceX. What differentiates Starlink from other satellite internet services is its high bandwidth and low latency. Today already, Starlink has latency around 40 ms, which is about 0.04 seconds, and goals of getting down to 20 ms by the summer, which is 0.02 seconds of latency. On the contrary, other current satellite internet providers generally have a latency of 700 milliseconds, which makes a big difference in video calls, general web responsiveness, and especially gaming. On top of that, many current satellite internet providers will have absurdly slow speeds, as well as data caps. Flipping back to Starlink, it has high speeds, and currently has no data cap. With those differences stated to know why Starlink is important, let's take a look at its history. Starlink was announced back in January 2015 to the public, with Elon Musk stating that there was a significant unmet demand for low-cost, global broadband capabilities. By early 2016, Starlink had planned to have prototype satellites flying in later 2016, and to have the version 1 satellite constellation operational by 2020. In late 2016, Starlink had actually finished developing the satellites and was ready for launch. However, they were facing challenges in making dishy. They were aiming for a low-cost, user-installable dish for approximately $200. As it stands right now in the better than nothing beta, this dish is $500. Later in 2016, SpaceX applied to the FTC for frequency bands for use in their services. However, with any government agency, they were going to cause some issues. The FCC set a 6-year deadline for SpaceX to deploy the entire constellation to meet their licensing agreements and continue to hold that spectrum. In September 2017, both SpaceX and Boeing fought for that to be waived, however, it was denied. In 2019, the FCC changed their terms to allow SpaceX to only need half the constellation up in 6 years and have it finished in 9. On August 21st, 2017, SpaceX trademarked the name Starlink, and thus it was born. Research and development continued through 2018, and by early 2019, SpaceX was starting to focus their efforts on manufacturing of satellites. On May 24, 2019, SpaceX launched their first batch of 60 satellites into orbit. Out of those 60, 57 were operational and 3 had failed, but due to their low Earth orbits, they were deorbited due to the atmospheric drag. On November 11, 2019, the first wave of version 1 satellites were launched, and SpaceX has been launching more into orbit ever since. So far, there has been 19 launches, with the next launch planned for March 1st. That leads right into what we are in now currently, the better than nothing beta. I'm now going to dive into just a little bit of tech inside Dishy that I think is really cool. The dish itself from the outside appears to be pretty simple. It comes with a basic mounting solution and will rotate itself to find satellites in the sky. But that's about where the simpleness stops. To actually keep up with the low Earth orbit satellites traveling at several kilometers per second, the motors in the dish would be too rough and just not work. Rather, the dish utilizes a phased array antenna, which allows the dish to direct its signal beam electronically. This technology has allowed the dish to be able to track the high-speed satellites, an extra challenge not presented from geostationary satellites. And on the topic of the satellites being used, that's definitely going to be by far the biggest hurdle of entry for competitors. Not only do they have to put up a massive satellite array, they also have to get the spectrum space for it as well. I'm really excited to see this competition in the near future, but I think that's only fair to see what Starlink has planned as well now. Well, other than the most obvious goals of finishing the entire constellation, what are some other things that Starlink's planning on? Well, I'll start with a few short-term goals. First of all, the goal of having 16 to 19 ms by summer 2021, instead of around 40, which is happening in the beta period. The goal is definitely achievable, and I do believe it will be hit by summer. I've already seen pings quite low, but as more sats are rolled out, it will be even better. Other shorter-term plans Starlink has been working on is the ability to operate in different countries. Even though the satellites will be flying overhead, allowing ground stations to operate or users to utilize the service is a whole deal of other legal hoops to jump through. Another one of the big goals the company has is one that it's had from the start, to drive down the cost of the user terminal dishes. Starlink aims to be accessible in the future to allow rural areas to leap into the modern world. However, the current price of the service is just too high for a jump. At a $500 upfront cost plus $100 a month for the subscription is just too high for many people. However, I fully do believe that Starlink will be able to push that price down by quite a bit in the future. One last goal that has started to surface as late January 2021 is that SpaceX is going to aim to be able to deliver 10 gigabit per second download speeds in the future. For reference, that is 10,000 megabits per second. As for this goal, the timeline on it is just in the future, so I don't really expect it to come anytime soon. However, that doesn't mean that it isn't exciting. As far as Elon's business endeavors go, he historically has been an overachiever and optimistic. While missing deadlines and delaying products, generally he does push those products to be out in the market at some point. With that said, 100 megabits per second today is huge, and a promise of much faster down the line is really exciting for people who just couldn't get good internet, pretty much no matter how much money they threw at it, just because of location. That's pretty much it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and, subscribe.